Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked,
and sometimes what didn't,
you will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
And inspire you to do even greater things.
This is the second part of my conversation with Janakiraman Srinivasan, known as Jani. In the first part, Jani spoke of his initial years in IT and the long career he had with Wipro. We ended that episode when it was a segue into his entrepreneurial phase. In this episode, Jani continues to share more stories related to the startup bug that bit him when he was in the Silicon Valley and the strong emotional connect he had with Mr. Ashok Soota that led him to be a co-founder of Mindtree. He also talks about the changes in his experience of being in a startup phase, which was 19 years apart, initially in Wipro and then at Mindtree, and also how some of these changes influenced some key policies and the strategies in the second startup. He talks about the benefit of complementary strengths among the co-founders and his experience of incubating innovation and startups within Mindtree. We then move on to how he set up Wipro and how he keeps himself updated on emerging and futuristic technologies. And I was also curious to know how he finds time for all this. A wonderful response. He also talks about the personally stressful phase when, as a leader, you think of or are actually making transitions across organizations in terms of your relationship and commitments to your team and the importance of people in the success of any company. And finally, I asked him for his career advice for people considering a career in IT or those who are already in IT looking at a role transition. The next episode will be our 200th episode. We have something special lined up for you. Don't miss that. And meanwhile, listen on. Yeah, I think it is a good segue. That was the curiosity question that I was going to ask anyway, about having grown with the organization, having a large team, doing all these things. What was the bug that bit you for the Mindtree transition?
There are few things, Subrata used to have a famous line actually saying that there should be a reason and there should be a season for anything to happen. Okay. The season came up in an entirely different context, but the reason to some extent I can say what it was. In Wipro, since I was heading global R&D, I was dealing with global customers. By the time Cisco or Intel, AT&T, Tandem, Compaq, HP, all of them are our customers, and then every day we used to deal with them. There was always a little bit of a pressure saying that, when you head a global business, you need to get a global exposure. That means you need to live beyond India, somewhere else also. And that's when, the suggestion came up that, can I take up the same role, CEO role, but drive it from sitting at US. So I moved to California for 1 year. Because I didn't want to settle abroad, otherwise I would have gone long back. So I took a break from India and I told clearly that I would like to be back after exact 1 year. That means one academic year, I can say. My kids, the day they finished the school, I left to US, and the day the school started here, I came back. So only 10 months in between I was there at US. Okay. But when you are in Valley, that fever catches up. And at that time in 99 was the time frame. It was the peak of tech boom, and it was the peak of startups happening. You come across not only large organizations because they happen to be your customers, but you come across several startups. You come across the community which is talking about people making millions and then doing startups, successful IPO, so many other buzzwords, frankly, which I had never heard of and which I had never dreamt of before. But you keep hearing that. With that background of global exposure, with that background of so many things happening around the world, I came back to India as I asked for and as I committed, and I settled down over here without knowing the kind of turbulence that may happen in Wipro which was possibly a positive turbulence, I don't know, for Wipro, was the leadership change for the first time. Because, I remember Ashok Soota joined in 1984 and he came from DCM with a mechanical background. And he was heading the Wipro's information technology business. And so Dr. Sridhar Mehta one day called me and then told a new president has come, Ashok Soota, and he doesn't have exposure to computer. You go and then tell him how a computer works. So in 1984, I was as a bacha, 3-year experience guy or 4-year experience guy, asked to tell that rather Mr. Ashok Soota, who was the IT man of the year downstream, on how a computer works. When a key is pressed, how the ASCII character goes, and then how a display pops up with a character, or it gets communicated over a RS-232 line. Those days, even Ethernet was not there. So, all those things actually, from there, in 1999, one day I hear from the newspaper that Ashok Soota is leaving. And at one end, Wipro told that Ashok Soota is retiring. At the other end, Ashok Soota told, I am starting a new venture. And I was very, very emotionally connected to Ashok Soota. So I was wondering, I had been to US. I had been there for 19 years at Wipro and I have done it. And that year was the most successful year. My business was the one which was delivering 35% profit. And it was one of the highest growth, 45% year-on-year growth. So having achieved all this 2,200 people organization at that time, I may take it a 5,000 or I may take it a 10,000. But here there seems to be an opportunity where Ashok is starting something. He wants to build a different kind of organization. I also had that little bit of a fire lit somewhere at Valley saying that, you can think of a startup. Okay, so why not I join hands with Ashok Soota? There were totally 9 other co-founders along with Ashok Soota, and then I was the 10th one. I was the 10th co-founder at Mindtree actually, and became part of the board, and 4 of us were in the board of Mindtree. And I was heading one business, Krishna Kumar was heading another business, and Subrata was handling the marketing and sales, and Ashok Soota was the overall CEO actually. That is the new phase of life that started actually. So I will say that, it's a part, the desire inside buried, but not popped out on its own. Next one is the season, which I talked about, where somebody is creating something and I know the person, I know the team, why not I be part along with them and then create something along with them. So those are the things that drove me to join Mindtree. There was no negatives about Wipro. We have tremendous respect because many of us became what we were mainly because of Wipro actually. And frankly, from a village boy to becoming a chief executive of one of the division and then running a business, that opportunity, I couldn't have dreamt of without Wipro there. But 19 years was a good enough period. Nowadays, 19 months became too much for many of the IT professionals. 19 years was a good enough period. So I moved out of Wipro into Mindtree.
So how was the starting up experience, twice over, 19 years apart? You talked about Saleh Ahmed, then assembling computers and all that. And then in 99, how was the scene? Was it different?
No, the scene was totally different, I'll tell you. First of all, when we started at Wipro, I have never understood the ownership and then the executive actually. Mr. Premji was the owner of Wipro, almost 85% or 86% he owned it. Ashok Soota was the president of Wipro Infotech. But somehow, I couldn't even draw a line between those two. I remember somewhere around 1987, 88, there was an induction program at Wipro where Premji addressed the freshers. And one of the young fresher, actually, I won't tell the name now, but he became one of the billionaire later. He asked a question standing up, Mr. Premji, I'm joining this organization. What is the ownership for me? Are you planning to give employee stock option? That was in 87, 88, which was not heard of at Wipro. We didn't even know what is stock and what is stock option. But this guy asked that question, and then Mr. Premji told his own answer in terms of how ownership is critical for running an organization. Stock options may happen downstream, but still he will continue to keep the ownership because without ownership, sometimes the organizations can go hayway and all actually. Why I'm telling this story is one of the first change that we brought at Mindtree when we started was 1/6 of the Mindtree will be owned by employees. Employees beyond founders. Founders were holding, all of us together was holding around 40%, and 16.67% of the shares were allocated for ESOP. And every employee, the first 2,000 employees had the stake in the organization. That is one major change that happened actually. Second, we didn't have the time like 1980. 1980 was the start of the IT story in India, I can say. Only a TCS was there before, and then HCL had started 1 year ahead of Wipro, and then there were no other competition. The reason for
TBL, where I started my career.
Okay.
Also TCS,
I understand, but we don't count that mainly because they were not R&D organization where products were made here. Products were made somewhere else. Marketing strategy was somewhere else. MNC power. I'm not saying anything negative about that, but what I'm saying is it is a different context. Frankly, why Wipro started getting into IT from a Vanaspati and a soap company was mainly because at that time the Janata government asked all the global players to move out, including the IBM and ICL of the world. And there was a sudden vacuum. Okay. So that's when Wipro thought, it's a good time for us to enter into IT and then make our own computers. Okay. So that was the context in which Wipro came into existence. But when in 99, when Mindtree started, already, we were into the IT services. We positioned ourselves as a company which focuses on .com in IT and telecom in the product engineering space, because both of them are the high growth areas. But still, all of them are done deals actually. We had a Wipro, we had a HCL, we had a TCS, we had a Infosys, we had a Sascan, so many others, Hughes, and everyone was there, whether it's a product engineering space or a IT space actually. But what we had as strength was one, the leadership team, where it is a leadership which was complementary to each other. None of us, what Subroto's main strength was not my strength, what my strength was not KK's main strength, vice versa, like that. And surely, Ashok Soota had the overall bird's eye view of how an IT organization needs to be run. And when it comes to technology, he needs someone. When it comes to finance, he needs someone. So we had a team which is the sales, finance, technology, IT, operations, all of them, coming together. So the team was there, but business needs to be gained actually. And we cannot take a Saleh Ahmed approach of, starting in a basement. So we wanted to start in style. And luckily the VC organizations were willing to bet and then fund us. So we raised $25 million fund, somewhere around 22, 23 from the VCs, another $2-3 million. All of us put together our own money, and we wanted to have our skin in the game also actually. So we put that money, and somewhere with $25 million and with 10 leaders, we were starting Mindtree. Okay. And we decided that we will focus on certain market, which is the .com and telecom market. And we started knocking at the doors of the existing customers of our earlier organizations whom we had contact. And to our surprise and bad luck, all the customers told that when you grow big, you come to us actually. We don't give business to startup.
Oh.
Okay. So we have to go and then knock at the door of many of the small companies, small .com companies. For example, a .com company which was coming up at Varanasi, which wanted to set up a portal for, let's say, the lucky stone matching for the individual based on date of birth, so that they can sell lucky stones and then they can make money. Now I need to go and then, knock at the door of a Amber network or a Autogon network, which was something like 40 people, 50 people network organization, which is a startup, and then tell them the India story that how they can expand fast their engineering in India by doing development through us. So we need to take an entirely different approach to first grow in size. That's what we realized. Without growing in size, nobody is going to value us. But we had that confidence and tenacity. One, because of our experience. Second, because of the money power. And the third, because the market itself was booming at that time. Because of the Y2K and so many other opportunities, it was a growth and the tailwind was very good. So all of them together took us to the higher level.
Okay. And even in Mindtree, you're kind of incubating another startup, right?
Yeah.
On products and all that. Now, how did that come to be? Or this whole startup, probably the energy you derive from that?
See, in Mindtree, we started in 99. And right from day one, myself and KK were running two parts of the business. Two-thirds of the business was run by KK, Krishna Kumar, who later became the CEO and then the chairman of Mindtree. And he was running the IT services business. And I was running the product engineering services business, where primarily it was a product company. It can be a software product or a hardware product or a overall integrated product. So product engineering services is the one we were running. And I was talking to you about the story that we need to take to the market. One of the things that we found was that, if you go and then just knock at the startup alone, it may not be sufficient. And even the startups may not go and open the door unless we have a proven track record. So I created a concept of what is called as MIST and MINT. Mindtree incubated showcase technologies and Mindtree incubated new technologies. I'll tell you the difference. The Mindtree incubated new technologies are nothing but the intellectual properties that we develop, which can be licensed as is in the market.
Okay.
It can be a USB stack, it can be Bluetooth, it can be any one of the technology base on which you build your stake, and then you go ahead and then sell intellectual property in the market. That was the Mindtree incubated new technologies. We built several small products like storage management software, network management software, Bluetooth technology, Wi-Fi stake, and so many other CD-ROM server, telemedicine product like that. So that was the Mindtree incubated new technology. The another one was the Mindtree incubated showcase technology. Mindtree incubated showcase technology is the one where we don't have to build from scratch, but we can build something unique where we bring several technologies together and then build a platform and showcase it that we are capable of doing it for the customer. So we went ahead and then started showing the MIST and then the MINT to our customers. In addition to saying that we have the management strength, we have the money, we have the interest, and we have the capability, everything, we started showing them small technology pieces of the IPs, and then the platforms which were built with Mindtree incubated showcase technologies. Okay. And that itself led to lot more opportunities coming up our way. A customer will buy, for example, a NAC will buy a Bluetooth stack from us. But once they get to know us, then they will say, actually, can you port it to your phone? Can you port it to a headset? Can you port it to a set-top box? Then having done it, they will ask whether he can build a phone platform or whether he can build a set-top box platform or something else. So the key to open the door of the larger customers became these intellectual properties and the products that we showcased.
Okay.
So that was the journey with which we could grow consistently our Mindtree's product engineering business, and we had a fantastic business actually. We reached somewhere around 2,000 people by that time of somewhere around 2011, 2012 in 12-year time frame. That is when a different thought came to our mind actually. We thought we are building technology and products for our customers. And there are so much of internal urge within the organization also for people to build our own products. But at the same time, always Dr. Sridhar Mita used to tell me during my Wipro time, you cannot drink milk under palm tree. People will think that you are drinking something else. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't be building products competing with our customers. So we decided that we will have a separate program which is totally firewalled from rest of the organization. And we initiated a program called 5 by 50. That means 5 technology ideas which have a potential to grow into a $50 million business. We will create entrepreneurship. We will incubate such kind of products, but we will not become a product company. We will spin it off.
Okay.
Either as independent entity or somebody acquires. So we started building multiple such products. And one of the product is the one which I took over in 2014 and left Mindtree and started an organization called Wipro. NUVEPRO.
Yeah.
It's in the cloud technology space because we built a product in Mindtree called VM Unify, which was for private cloud management. That technology was good. It found some traction, but still making it, selling it to the customers was difficult actually. Mainly because customers looked at us as you are a services company, why are you in products? And even if you are in product, how am I assured that you will pay enough attention to me? You have a $200 million business coming and this is nothing for you. We won't be able to give such kind of business. So how are you going to get attention? So no, we need to spin it out. That's how the product part of the Mindtree started coming up.
2 questions. Now, one is, how do you keep yourself updated on not only the emerging technologies, but also you may have to take bets on the future? That is one. The second part is also related, which is how do you find time for all this?
Oh, time is a plenty actually. I'll tell you one of the things that I have seen the way Mr. Premji and Mr. Soota works. I learned a lot from them. But one thing that always I used to feel that these people are working almost 18 hours a day actually. I don't want to be that in future when I grow up and then I reach certain age. So in 2010, we had a strategy meeting at Mindtree at a place called Kutiram, which is in Doddaballapur, that side actually. It's a Taj Kutiram is the place. And at that time, every one of us were discussing about our future. And one of the things that Mr. Soota asked, who will be the next CEO after me? And at that time, one of the things that I told is that I will not be actually, I'm sure. Because I told him that my plan is to leave Mindtree on 2014, October 20th, which is 15 years from the time when I joined Mindtree. He asked me what he will do. I told I will retire. I told I will not take a 24/7 job. I will not take a job where I had to be on 200 days on the road. Because I know I used to travel heavily. Being a business head, you need to cover various countries, various customers. It was interesting, no doubt about it, but it took its own toll actually, and I felt that one, I should spend time with family, and second, I should do something different from what I am doing, because from 80 to 90 it was products, and 90 to 2000 was services at Wipro, and 2000 to 2014 was again services at Mindtree, which was little different, but whatever it is, ultimately all smell alike actually. Okay. So wanted to do something different. So in 2010, I told that I'll leave Mindtree in 2014, and so the succession and other things can be planned actually. And in 2013, we identified a leader who became the CEO of Product Engineering Services, and I took a little generic role of a CTO role. I won't call it as generic, but to some extent for me it is a placeholder role till I move. But I nurture and then hand over the PEs properly to the leader who is succeeding me in terms of accumulating with my customers and people and organization and processes and all actually. And in 2014 I left. I can say that when I thought about in 2010 what I'll do after 2014, I didn't have any idea at all, frankly. I thought, let me fix a date so that one organization knows, and then I had given time. Because one regret that I had at Wipro was that I came back from US and within 3-4 months I left. And so many people, I told you that people around me are the one who made me their leader. I felt somehow a guilt in the corner of my mind. I left them halfway through. It's not that without me they can't survive. But I can see that, the emotional connect, and then, literally I wept when I had to say that, I had to leave Wipro. And I could see there so many emotional faces and tears rolling up. I didn't want that to happen. I wanted my separation at Mindtree should be very smooth. People should not even know that they are missing me. Okay, so it needed that planning in 2010 for me to tell ahead of time. 2012 12 or 13 is the one when we started this 5x50 program. And when this particular VM Unify product, we wanted to take it to market where we wanted external investment. All the VCs told that it is an intellectual property owned by Mindtree, and how can I invest? And even if I had to invest, how do I know whether the team will be independent? Even if the team is independent, how do I know whether the team is capable? Because they have never done anything on their own. Like that, there were so many roadblocks actually. So somewhere around 2014, 6 to 8 months before I leave, having tried all the things to get a VC investment and make it as a spin-off organization, it didn't happen. I know that the team is good. I know the idea is good. I know it's a cloud, which is an emerging space. And possibly, what am I going to do after leaving? Why not I take this as a startup and then run it? So I discussed with board of Mindtree, and I told them that I'll give certain stake for Mindtree into my new organization in case they agree to give away the technology and people. And I'll give some cash also in lieu of the IP that is being taken away. And I'll form my own company. And if this company is successful, two things will happen. One, Mindtree will gain the money for the stake that they have. And second, they would have proven a model which they can take it forward for other such ideas that come up within Mindtree. And that was very much accepted by Mindtree. They were kind enough. So I took the team and I took the technology, but I took a key leader, Giridhar. And the first thing that I told Giridhar is in 2010, I told I want to retire. And I'll tell you in 2014 also, I want to be in that retire mode. Don't suck me into the day-to-day business of Wipro. I'll be the chairman. I'll guide. I'll participate in strategy. I'll help in winning critical customer. And I'll come in whenever there is on exception basis, any critical things on which I need to get involved actually. You are going to be the CEO and you have to run it. Okay, that's how the Wipro journey started in 2014. And I can say that we had our own roller coaster ride, but reasonably successful, especially in the last few years actually. So that's how it started actually. The thing that you were asking about, how do you find where is the opportunity? I'll say that, few things that, we need to look at actually. One is that, when we started Mindtree, why did we say .com and telecom? Though later we became one other software company, when you had to start with, you need to show specialization. You need to be trendy. You need to look at which is the area that is going to grow heavily actually. So at that time, we found that the e-commerce is going to grow. That digital is not a word that time used. It was e-commerce, B2B and B2C. Mm-hmm. Similarly, the telecom, the wireless, 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi, and so many other things are going to emerge. And then we took bets on that actually. So similarly, when we have to get into the startup ideas, cloud is a big thing actually at that point of time. Today, the cloud is there everywhere actually, but cloud is something that we felt that we can bet tap on. So one, you need to identify the areas where there is a potential for growth. Sometimes technical people or technology people get stuck with fancy of technology. Protocols, bits and bytes, and then algorithms. All those are great, no doubt about it. But ultimately, it has to serve a purpose. And we know that cloud will serve a purpose actually. So the purpose and then the trend is something that is important. Okay. Second, the team is very, very important. Ultimately, one thing that I learned in Wipro was that Wipro was successful not because of we were a fancy company actually, but because we had solid people with right culture, right mindset, long term. 19 years was not a small time, and even 15 years at Mindtree was not a small time. So we need to have that perseverance and long-term orientation, right mindset people whom we can trust and then depend upon actually. So that is another element that is needed actually. And third element nowadays it has become true is that you need to have the money power. Luckily, by God's grace, with being one of the founder of Mindtree, I made good enough money. And I can part with small money to invest. And later we raised 2 rounds of fund. But first 5 years, we sustained with the money that I put in the initial years. in addition to the money I paid to Mindtree. So, so those are the few things that have to come together to make it a success. Actually.
Yeah, wonderful, Jani. I would like to ask you one question that I usually ask my guests, which is about career advice. One is for people who are considering a career in IT with so many new technologies emerging, people saying AI is going to take over everything. Is there a future for IT for somebody starting now? And similar thing for somebody who's mid-career, who is probably wondering, should I be technical? Should I take up a managerial role? Should I do a startup? What do I do? So do you have any tips or warnings for them?
See, first let me tell you on the IT actually. My belief is that India will have this riding this IT wave at least for another 15 years. When 90 to 95, when we did, people told, hey, all these are body shopping, what is going to happen? Then we started getting work to India. Then, you people can manage small projects, what you can do actually. Then we started doing big projects. People are wondering actually that, there is no innovation in it. Then we started doing consulting to our customers and then how they have to shape up their business and what next product needs to be. Oh, you can only consult, you cannot do your own actually. Then we started doing our own products as a country also, in addition to the services actually. And there is always, what started as a cost arbitrage became a talent arbitrage, because there are no talents available other than India in plenty for the growing wave of IT and then later digital actually. And it is going to be idea arbitrage next, where ideas will emanate from India, will be adapted by Western companies. The kind of acquisitions and the unicorns that you will see out from India are going to be enormous. So I'll say that at least another 10 to 15 years, there is enough of road, enough of opportunity for people to really do well in IT actually. It is not a story that is going to end. It is a story which is in midway, and I feel that we have a long way to go, and we have several things that can be achieved together. That is my perspective on what I believe as IT. So if somebody is taking up a career in IT, I'll say go ahead and do it. It's a good thing to be in. Now, when it comes to whether a person has to take a technology or a business or operations or quality or what kind of role actually, I'll say from an organization perspective, it is like different organs of the body. All of them are extremely important, and without one, other cannot function. Several times, in the first 5 to 10 years of my experience at Wipro, somehow, the technical people used to ignore salespeople. Oh, they will yap, they will wear tie and then carry a bag and then, tell a lot of lie and then sell. Selling is not easy actually. When you get into role of selling, you know how difficult it is, and how many times as technical people we mess up, but still the sales people need to cover up and then sell us in the market actually. Okay, so sales is important, marketing is important, quality is extremely important actually. Consistency in what you deliver, predictability, and customer feeling comfortable about what you are delivering. That is the one which enables repeat business actually. Quality is the cornerstone of repeat business, which is the growth for especially services. So from all those angles, all these are important actually, but you can't be in everything on day one actually. So luckily I had the opportunity of seeing multiple of them and then deciding on what I need to be, which is the business leader, but people intensive business leader. Services business happened to be much more people intensive actually. And then, I happen to be that. Most of the career, that's what I tell my son, that, your capability should be like a tea, where on certain thing you need to have tremendous depth, where you will be much, much superior to somebody else. But at the same time, the top line of the tea shows the breadth. You can't say that I am only this. Then one, you are risking yourself. Okay, and second, sometimes you may not be valuable to others. So it's better to have the breadth so that you know what are the adjacencies, and you will be able to quickly switch over or morph in case it is needed or you want to become much more a well-rounded person where you need to taste multiple things actually. So from that angle, each one needs to decide what is my tea, where I want to go into the depth on certain things and I want to have breadth of multiple things actually. Sometimes you may have that curiosity and interest to know that this is where I want to build the depth. But sometimes you may not even know actually, where you want to build the depth. That's where, you need to explore. So an organization gives you an alternate opportunity. Sometimes we feel very, very uncomfortable, whether we will be able to succeed, whether we will be able to do well. So we don't want to even try alternatives actually. So when organization gives you an opportunity, explore other things also in addition to keeping your core strength. If organization doesn't give, ask for it within the organization. If organization cannot give at all, then look outside actually. But get a little bit of rounded exposure, but with a depth in certain things actually. Without getting into water, you don't know how to swim actually. I'll tell you, when I became regional field engineering manager, when I had to manage some 100 clients and then some 30 field engineers and 23 locations, frankly, I didn't know anything at all. I have to learn from people who were field engineers already there. I am their boss, but I should not have a hesitation to learn from others. It can be your people below, it can be peers, it can be people above. Several times, the best way to learn is to say that I don't know, I want to know. It is like Ashok Soota becoming from a Sriram refrigerator to a IT man of the year in Data Quest. It is that hunger to learn. It is that openness to learn. It is that taking the help from others to learn. All of them are important actually. So I'm saying that, keep your learnability high. In addition to developing depth, keep the learnability that will enable you to test waters in the adjacency. And over a period of, let's say 45, 50 years, 40 years, you need to become a much more rounded personality. There are people who want to become entrepreneurs at a very, very early age. Actually. Sometimes, people come out of college and then they say, I want to start a company. There is nothing wrong in it. But I'll say that, you have to understand the education, learning and industry or business learning are much different actually. The realities can be much different unless you have come from a business family. I didn't come from a business family. I had to learn everything on my own by being in the business as part of the business actually, So people should at least spend something like 5 to 7 years in terms of being in organizations, learning technology, learning sales, learning quality, learning processes, people management, operations, many aspects related to the business. At least you should have some understanding. And you should discover yourself during that 5 to 7 year period and what you are good at. Identify that key vertical where you will be able to go into the depth, key function that you will be able to go into the depth. And many a times as entrepreneurs, you can't be individually successful. You need people who will complement you. If you are good in technology, you need people who have good insight into sales and vice versa. So identify those people whom you will be able to surround with. And as a team, how do you make the business happen? Then move on to the entrepreneurship. Don't jump onto the entrepreneurship too early. That's my view. Nothing wrong. There are few people who have been right from college but made a success. But I won't say that success. If the chances of success in a startup is 2 in 10, it will become 1 in 20 if it is a fresh and then jumping into the race. That's what I'll say.
On that note, thanks for the encouraging views on the future, particularly in IT. Thanks a lot for taking the time and then sharing these wonderful stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Shiva. Okay. It's a great pleasure to talk to you. Hope your audience will find some benefit out of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People stories.
If you like this episode,
please subscribe on your favorite podcast client
and spread the word in your network.
If you'd like to share your story,
contact us at podcasts at pm-powerconsulting.com.